They're so cute. They're super cute kids.
So yeah, she's great.
How sweet.
Yeah, they have more basketball games around. She's a coach of that. They're on a little roll. Well, she did. I think she missed the first 3 weeks because she's just so she wasn't captain,
Okay.
but she's already worked herself into a starting line. After her second game, the coach, I guess the coach was like, listen, she hustled more than all you guys. She's gonna start.
It'll be.
So we want to win. That's good.
Yeah, you were a tweener.
So this is 6.
That's
A
That was
tweener.
interesting.
Yeah, where did that come from?
Wait,
A little purple mood lighting.
Oh, there. Nice tone, guys. Yeah.
wow.
We look good in purple.
We're bathed in purple light.
What are you doing over there, Abby? That's awesome.
Why do you have a basketball?
Because we're going right from here to practice.
Yep.
Oh.
And reading
I
also.
was
That's
wondering.
a
I didn't know
lot
if
of
it
Berkshire
was a-
family.
Okay.
Love it.
You should know that.
Multitasking at its best.
You do it all, right?
Pretty much.
Who does the Badger clothes for Easter's? Do they have somebody run the clothesline?
Crazy.
Nicole's Craft Corner is who makes the merch, and then Adrian kind of oversees it.
Okay. Because we have one of our Christmas ready for the church.
Oh, yeah.
There's one of them.
Oh.
Here, he wants Badger stuff. So I got some stuff from Sarah, so I want to get some stuff too. Yeah.
Yeah, she made a nice donation to the Berkshire Auditorium.
Yeah.
She does cute stuff, and then I know PPO has some stuff.
Yeah.
But,
Snowboarding.
I mean, I think pretty much anywhere.
Oh, is it really?
So,
So we
Yeah.
lots of
Try to
different
do
choices
I
for
want
merch.
Easter's
Yeah.
stuff.
You know how we learned to snowboard? She played the video.
Sean does.
And
Did you with her friends every year?
Yeah.
And this year they're doing jelly cats.
So many girls do that. Tell it comes soon.
It's gonna take forever.
I mean, we have.
Are you working tomorrow?
Wow.
That's amazing.
Does she ever babysit?
Oh,
You-
Thomas.
Okay. 'Cause
Yeah.
I was looking, Danny and I do it.
Oh,
But she could use some backup. Okay.
And if she can't, if she has people, she calls for
Okay.
backup when she
Okay,
can.
I'll let her know that.
Yeah, I'll give you her number. so
Okay.
you can- Yeah, she babysits a lot.
We're skipping the pledge because the kids are gonna do a version of the pledge. Just FYI. Okay.
That makes sense. She's cute. Sign language, yeah.
You know, Rhiannon's a sign language interpreter.
Okay, not.
I didn't know that, really.
That was her first job out of college.
That's a great
She has a-
job.
She has a bachelor's degree in ASL. So I couldn't hire me.
She goes by.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the board meeting this evening. We're going to do things a little out of order tonight, not like we normally do. So we are going to start with roll call this evening.
Mr.
Beth,
Berman,
please.
Mr. Berman,
I'm here.
Mr. Manfredi,
Here.
Mrs. Miller,
Here.
Mrs. Stone,
Here.
and Mr. Wadsworth.
Here.
I need a first and a second for approval of the agenda.
So moved.
Brian,
I'll second. Me, Jody.
is it you, Jody?
Jody.
I'll second Jody.
Any discussion? Roll call, Beth?
Mr. Berman,
Yes.
Mr. Manfredi,
Yes.
Mrs. Miller,
Yes.
Mrs. Stone,
Yes.
Mr. Wadsworth.
Yes.
I need a first and a second for approval of the minutes. I'll make the motion.
I'll second it. Linda?
And any discussion? Beth, roll call, please.
Mr. Manfredi,
Yes.
Mrs. Miller,
Yes.
Mrs. Stone,
Yes.
Mr. Wadsworth,
Yes.
Mr. Berman.
Yes.
I'll turn it over to John Stott.
Okay, at this time, we are going to have our elementary school students do a presentation, and we skip the pledge because they have a very special rendition of the Pledge of Allegiance to do for us. So I will turn it over to Mrs. Giel to introduce her group and get us started with the Berkshire Elementary School.
Good evening. Thank you so much for making that adjustment for us. So I was surprised a couple weeks ago when I was asked to come up to Mrs. Kitzmiller, Mrs. Wema, and Mrs. Shaw's classroom, and their students had learned the pledge in sign language. So I thought, what a cool thing to do. Mrs. Shaw is our ASL interpreter for one of our students, and I think it's really cool that all the classmates wanted to learn that, to celebrate, as a class saying the pledge. So if it's okay, I'd like you guys to come down here. We're going to have them stand up there. They're gonna do it. We'll do it together, and then they'll do it again so you can see it, and take it in.
We're on the move.
Guys, you want to come on up?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, so our flag down here, we do this several times throughout the year, but that's a collaborative coloring of the flag. And every student gets a piece of the flag, and then once they color it, we put them all together to make one whole picture so that everybody has their own piece, but are all part of our group. So we have a Christmas tree going up tomorrow, and we've done one for Thanksgiving, and back to school. And we'll do them throughout the year. So that's what that we say, don't want from Veterans Day for this.
You guys want to see it one more time? No, we're not. You guys want to do it one more time? Sure. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
You guys want to All right, ready? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Fourth grade, nice job. Thank you guys so much. Board of Education, thank you so much for allowing them to come in and present. I know many of them are headed off to wrestling and basketball practice.
Before everybody leaves, thank you and Merry Christmas to you and your families. And God bless all of you.
Okay. All right, back to our normal attendance.
Okay, we are at the point of the meeting where we have a public comment section. You would like to address the board, you come up to the microphone and please be respectful.
Here we are at our normal attendance numbers.
Okay. Onward, upward. Beth, the treasurer's report, please.
Let the record reflect that the treasurer has submitted a statement to the board and to the superintendent showing the revenues and receipts from the sources derived, the various appropriations made by the board, the expenditures and disbursements, the purposes and balances remaining in each fund. The financial statements for the period ending November 2024 has been submitted, subject to audit, and includes the financial summary, appropriation and revenue summary, check register recap, and bank reconciliation. I have a motion to approve the following donations. We had a $25,000 anonymous donation to the Educational Foundation and a $500 donation from Chris and Sarah Cervenka to the elementary PBIS.
So moved.
Jody. Brian.
It's awesome. I'll say.
We have the
Any
most
discussion?
generous, we just have the most generous people in our community. I'm so thankful.
It is, we are very grateful for the people that live here and support the school.
And that decimal is in the right place, right?
It is.
Wow, amazing.
Any further discussion? Beth, roll call, please.
Mrs. Miller,
Yes.
Mrs. Stone,
Yes.
Mr. Wadsworth,
Yes.
Mr. Berman,
Yes.
Mr. Manfredi.
Yes.
Thank you. Can I have a motion to approve the following financial amendments? We had an additional $285,000 to the capital projects fund, and then $9,018.22 to Global Connections Academy Fund 401.
So moved.
Okay,
I'll
Dan,
second it.
Linda, the capital projects fund, the modular units?
That's to account for the transfer to yes.
Okay.
For that.
Any further discussion? Beth, roll call, please.
Mrs. Stone,
Yes.
Mr. Wadsworth,
Yes.
Mr. Berman,
Yes.
Mr. Manfredi,
Yes.
Mrs. Miller.
Yes.
Thank you, Beth. John, superintendent's report.
I've got a really short section, only one area, so I'm going to ask for a motion to approve the following certified and classified personnel actions as listed. So moved.
Brian,
I'll second.
Jody. Did I get that right?
Yep.
Thanks. Any discussion? Beth, roll call, please.
Mr. Wadsworth,
Yes.
Mr. Berman,
Yes.
Mr. Manfredi,
Yes.
Mrs. Miller,
Yes.
Mrs. Stone.
Yes.
Old business.
I don't really have any old business to report on yet. We're still waiting for the deed and the purchase agreement from Ohio Department of Transportation. So there's really not much we can report until we get those back.
Okay.
I heard something about somebody being nominated to the Auburn Career Center Board. Did I hear? a little bit?
Yes, there was old business
Oh.
that Dan
He's gonna
Berman
do a
was nominated
fantastic
to the
job.
Auburn Career Center Board for a one-year term.
Yeah.
Congratulations, Dan.
Oh, thanks.
Meetings every week.
what happens.
Just kidding. I'm very happy to do it.
Dan, that's what happens when you don't come to a meeting.
That's right. I learned my lesson. Don't worry.
I'm sure Disney was worth it.
It was.
Yeah, it looked like it.
Can you fill us in on the modulars and what's going on there?
Yeah, obviously a little bit of weather delay with the modulars, so we weren't able to do the asphalt pour. It's going to be way too cold to do that now, so we're trying to pivot and potentially do a concrete pour instead because it can be poured. If we don't, then we'll have to delay to the spring. So the concrete pour is going to be a change order. It's going to cost more money, but it will allow us to get in, not when we wanted to, but at least in January instead of waiting until the spring. But the building is being seamed together right now. All that finished work should be finished by the end of this week. And then the goal is by the end of next week for them to have all the plumbing, electrical, fire alarms, all those things finished. And then on the 20th to start putting the ramp in, but they have to have all the concrete poured before they can put the ramp in. So we're looking at potentially sometime first or second, probably more like second week of January moving in instead of over the break like we wanted to, but it just means we'll use our Kent State rooms for a couple more weeks and then we'll get moved in as quickly as possible.
Okay. If we were at new business, John?
Yes, we are going to reappoint Dawn Tolchinsky to the Burton Public Library Board.
I'll
Okay.
make that motion.
I'll second it.
Jody, Linda, any discussion? Beth, roll call, please.
Mr. Berman,
Yes.
Mr. Manfredi,
Yes.
Mrs. Miller,
Yes.
Mrs. Stone,
Yes.
Mr. Wadsworth.
Yes.
This is just more for informational. This isn't any voting, but on Wednesday of this week, we're meeting for Safe Routes to Schools work meeting that Vanessa has put together. And we're meeting with people from, John, am I correct? We have some people from Columbus that are coming in.
Yes. The Ohio Department of Transportation will be coming in to work with us on. The goal of the project is for them to award us a grant to install a sidewalk from our building all the way down into the village.
That would be excellent.
Very good.
That was Vanessa Carwin, our new Director of Community Outreach and Public Relations, who spearheaded that. If we're awarded that, that's about a $500,000 grant.
She's on fire.
She is.
Mhm.
I know one board member is really excited about that, so.
We also
gotta
need to
get that
talk.
done.
We also need to talk in our new business about scheduling a work session in January to talk about future funding options for the district. We're going to have to do something. Those conversations need to be had in public. So Beth and I will look to schedule a meeting. Not sure if it'll be before the next board meeting or after the next board meeting, but we are going to schedule a work session so that we can have the conversation of, what we want to do, what we think is the best option moving forward, potentially get some input, and then make a plan and mobilize.
So while we have everybody here, is January 20th, what's everybody's availability?
It's Martin Luther King.
Yep.
There's no school that day, correct,
I don't know.
John?
No school.
No school that day.
Okay. Not that that matters for a meeting, just kind of throwing it out there.
I don't know, what's everyone's thoughts on having it that day or having it on another day before?
We could do it the 21st or the 22nd.
Are Mondays good for people other than our board meetings?
Mondays are good for me.
I
as
see
far as-
people's head shaking.
Would this be in the evening again?
Yes.
Okay.
We want to shoot for evenings so that the public is able to attend.
Yep.
It's hard for them to attend if we have it during the day.
So we doing 6 p.m. on the 20th?
I would say either 5:30 or 6.
I could do either that Monday or Wednesday. I could not do that Tuesday.
Let's do 6 if we
Do you
can.
think that might affect somebody, some public people from coming because it is a holiday and the kids won't be
Inauguration
school?
day.
Maybe. So January 22nd
That's
is a
clear with me.
Wednesday?
That's fine with me.
Sure.
6 o'clock on the 22nd.
Works for me.
You'll send that out, Beth, correct?
I will. So is the 6 o'clock is,
Sounds good.
okay, so January 22nd at 6 o'clock.
Did you have a question, Roger? We will probably have a public participation section.
Maybe we'll do that after.
If someone's here and they want to give feedback, we want to listen to it. But we'll advertise it in the Maple Leaf at least 2 weeks, 2 different times before we have it to try to
Well, no, it'll just
get as
be
much
advertised one
people as
time, John.
possible. Yeah, I think it's for both.
Anybody watching at home on YouTube, we would like you to come on January 22nd.
Our fans.
Okay. Any other new business? Okay, we are to the organization.
Oh, John, the kids were asking, how many snow days do you get a year?
We, since the state went from calculating our attendance on days to hours, we have the equivalent of about 8 days before we need to make anything up. But typically, we can make those up with online days. So we'll just allow, if we go beyond 8, we'll allow them to take their Chromebooks home and kind of do some online assignments so that we don't have to keep them during spring break or anything. Hopefully, we don't have many more.
Yeah.
Lots of reasons.
I'm running out of creativity.
Any other new business? Beth, do you want us to vote for that under organizational meeting?
Vote for what?
You can, sure.
Okay. I'll make the motion that we have our organizational meeting, January 22nd, 6 PM on a Wednesday.
I'll second
Okay,
it.
wait a
Wait a
minute.
minute,
So January 22nd is going to be a
It's a
special
special-
board meeting.
That's
But-
not the organization?
No.
Organizational
So our-
meeting.
Yeah, so organizational meeting needs to be
January
before the
13th.
15th. of the
Okay,
month.
so they're two different things. That's what I'm asking.
Yes. two
Okay.
different meetings.
So let's do the organizational meeting first.
Let's do this.
Okay, so I made the motion on the organizational meeting, January 13th.
Correct.
Yep.
Perfect.
And I'll second.
Oh,
Okay,
Dan will
go ahead.
second.
Dan second.
I'll second.
Any further discussion? Roll call, Beth.
Mr. Manfredi,
Yes.
Mrs. Miller,
Yes.
Mrs. Stone,
Yes.
Mr. Wadsworth,
Yes.
and Mr. Berman.
Yes.
And then if I could make a motion to request a special board meeting for January 22nd, 2025 at 6 PM here in the auditorium.
So move, Linda.
I'll second.
And Brian. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Berman,
Yes.
Mr. Manfredi,
Yes.
Mrs. Miller,
Yes.
Mrs. Stone,
Yes.
Mr. Wadsworth.
Yes.
Okay, now we got that straight.
President, yeah.
At least I did. Okay, what do you?
We do have to elect a president pro tem. I did not have this on my agenda up here, but we do need to do that for the organizational meeting.
So
Oh,
to-
the date of it is this, but our next board meeting is that.
Yeah. I didn't
Oh, you're
have to
saying
say
that needs to be
Yeah.
changed.
Yeah.
Okay,
And we need to appoint a president pro tem for that
The
meeting,
13th. of the meeting.
for the 13th. So anyone want to make a nomination for someone to serve as
John.
president pro tem?
John.
John.
Okay, I hear John
we'll make it
Manfredi.
easy.
So we're going to do
Okay,
first.
Brian made the motion,
I'll second.
Dan second. Any further discussion? Roll call, Beth, please.
Mrs. Miller,
Yes.
Mrs. Stone,
Yes.
Mr. Wadsworth,
Yes.
Mr. Berman,
Yes.
Mr. Manfredi.
Yes. Do we have any need to go into executive session?
I do not have a need for executive
not.
session.
We do not. Well, then, we are at the point of adjournment.
So moved.
Brian,
I'll second.
Jody,
Mrs. Stone,
Yes.
Mr. Wadsworth,
Yes.
Mr. Berman,
Yes.
Mr. Manfredi,
yes.
Mrs. Miller.
Yes.
All right.
And
Have
the
a great
same
day.
thing I said to the kids, I say to all of you, Merry Christmas. God bless you and your families.
Thanks for coming, everybody.